Hello everyone, welcome to another planty video. It is me, Desiree, and it is time to talk about the Scindapsus pictus exotica. So Scindapsus pictus exotica is one of my favorite plants I've ever discovered. This is a plant that I cannot believe grows in real life, and I thought it'd be helpful to show this today because one of these that I have is in desperate need of water, and I thought it would be helpful for you to see what a plant that really needs water looks like and one that's freshly watered, because the watering needs of this plant I think are kind of unique, and I thought I would just share my tips and tricks. I'm very hesitant to call this a care guide because I'm just not a fan of care guides. I'm just not. I feel like sometimes they're a little too strict, a little too black and white, a little too like, this is what you need to do to make this plant thrive, and don't do this at all, the plant won't like it. And I don't think plant care is very black and white. It's very fluid, it's very gray area. It's all an experiment, it's not a science. So even what I share today, you know, take some tips and tricks if you want to, but don't think that everything I do for my plants is going to be exactly what you need to do for yours, because we're all living with different plants in different environments, you know. We have different climates, different plants, different soil, it's in a different pot. We're in a different part of the country, we have different humidity and weather, like it's completely different, you know, the plants I have to the plants you're going to get in your environment. So this is what I do to make mine thrive and what I have found helpful. So hopefully it's helpful for you, but if you live in a different place than me or you take care of yours differently, please share it in the comment section, because, you know, we're all just trying to help each other out. We all want to have beautiful plants and we all can use all the tips and tricks, you know, that we can. Anyway, so this is the Scindapsus pictus exotica. Oh God, it just takes my breath away. Look at it. It's so absolutely gorgeous. So I found this big, beautiful hanging plant at the grocery store. One thing I have learned with this plant is you don't need to pay a lot of money for it. But again, depending on where you live, this might be readily available. I don't see it around that often actually, so when I did see it, my heart was racing. I do have several of these plants, and I did compare them all in a different video where I shared where I got them, the price, how they arrived, all that kind of stuff. So I'll link that down below in case you want to check it out. But this is just going to be the general care that I give these plants. So this plant is commonly nicknamed the satin pothos. I guess it's because of the leaf shape, but I don't know why, because it's not a pothos, it's a Scindapsus. But I'm just being picky there, I think. But it's commonly referred to as the satin pothos. So if you're looking it up online or trying to learn more about it, maybe try typing in that and it'll bring up the same plant. There are a couple of different types of Scindapsus pictus. This is the exotica. It's usually the one with the bigger leaves. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It's these thick, leathery feeling leaves. Like, it literally feels like it's fake. They feel almost like they might be a succulent, and I think that's probably why this plant can go as long as it does without water, because it kind of retains a lot of water. I don't know if it retains it in the leaves or not, but what I found that plants that have like thicker leaves usually don't need water as much as a plant that has thinner leaves does, if that makes sense. So I find I can go a long time without watering this plant. This one I probably watered about 2 weeks ago or so, and it still looks absolutely gorgeous. So let's just talk about the watering. So this plant is watered. It does not need any water. Even if I were to touch the soil and it's completely dry, I wouldn't water it because it looks like this. So I let this plant go until the leaves tell me that it needs water. And I will show you one that needs water as well, because I have one that's in desperate need. But this one doesn't need anything from me. It's doing well, and I know that because the leaves are completely flat. They're completely open. You can see the whole leaf. They're not curled under themselves at all. Unless it's a newer leaf, it might be a little curled as it's unfurling, but for the most part, the leaves should be open and flat, especially the mature ones, you know. And just kind of feel them. Do they feel thick and full, or do they feel thin and kind of curled under? This is one of those plants I think you should get to know the plant and not necessarily try to have like a schedule for watering. You can have a schedule if you want to check on it, but I wouldn't say like water it once a week or anything like that, because this is one of those plants that can easily, I don't know, get root rot and all that kind of stuff if you water it too often. So I always err on the side of caution and underwater my plants until I really get to know them. So what does a plant look like that really needs water? Well, let me show you. Look at this one. This is one I actually found at the grocery store too. I found it at Smith's. Check your grocery stores for these kinds of plants. You know, you have to go all the time though, but you will find some gems if you go regularly. You don't need to pay an arm and a leg for a plant like this. I learned that the hard way. Anyway, this plant desperately needs water, and you can just tell by looking at it. Look how sad it looks. It looks wilted. It looks just flat, like it's hanging over the pot, and the leaves are mostly curled like this. So it's not completely flat, it's curled under, like it's completely curled up. And I find that when it gets like this, I probably waited a little too long. Like, I don't usually wait for all the leaves to get all curled up, but I kept wanting to do this video and kept putting it off, so the plant just got drier and drier. Anyway, the plant is in desperate need of water, and I know that because the leaves are looking really bad. I also have these two small ones that need water, and you can clearly tell, I mean, look at the leaf, it's completely rolled up on itself. And again, I don't usually wait this long, but these two, I put in a spot that I knew I was gonna forget them. I'm glad I found them before they went too far gone, because my Photonia was not so lucky. So yeah, this one really needs water, and you can see the comparison here. Like, look at this one and look at this one. So don't let them go this far, but even if you do, it's gonna be just fine. It might not like pop back to life even the next day, but it will come back, you know, as long as you haven't let it go completely where the leaves are crispy, you'll be fine. Like, this plant can take a lot of abuse in that kind of a way, especially with underwatering. So those desperately need to be watered. And as far as the soil and the pots I have them in, I'm a huge fan of keeping the plants in the soil they came in. I'm not trying to like undo all the roots and everything, because I just don't have a lot of success with that. I feel like I kind of damage the plant and do it a little more harm than good. But these two I did repot into these plastic pots. I did used to have these in terracotta, but they dry out so fast. And I find this plant, it wasn't doing well in the terracotta because it was drying out so quickly that I wasn't keeping up with the watering, because I was so used to it just being able to go a long time without water. So I put them back in plastic pots, that way it can kind of not wick away the moisture so quickly. And I find that they do really well in plastic. So this bigger one I have here is in a plastic pot. This one isn't a plastic, but it's like one of those, it's a non-terracotta, like some ceramic kind of pot. And then of course these are just in nursery pots. I think I'm gonna pot these together though, because I'm kind of tired of having the two separate ones. And they look like they're both on the same watering schedule. So I think I might just pot those together later today. I'm a huge fan of keeping them in plastic because I just like it better, and I can stay on top of the watering a little easier with it. As far as lighting goes, these plants can take like any kind of situation. These two little ones I have in the living room. They're on a bottom shelf. I would say it's low light. I would say it's low light to like just ambient light, you know. They're not thriving there. I know these things look so sad. I don't want to keep holding them up. But they're still growing. Like, this one has a leaf coming out here. It did just kind of put out this one and this little one here. This is a very, very slow growing plant, kind of depending on where you have it though. This first one I had here, I have this one in my living room, or like my front room, in a north-facing window, and it does pretty well, but it's not the fastest growing plant ever, but it is still gonna look really full and lush. But even in lower light, it's still doing pretty fine. And then this one here I also have in the front room in the north-facing window. Not in the window, but with that window. And it gets nice light all day, like the room is lit up all day long. So they can take all kinds of different lighting situations, but of course more light, they'll thrive a little better for you. I haven't tried these out in very bright direct light or in a bright window like a south or west facing window. I don't have experience with that, but if you do, let us know. Let us know what kind of light you put your plants in, because we're all here to learn from each other. For propagation, you know what? I actually have a propagation going, because when I was repotting this one of the leaves cracked off, so I put it in some water. It took forever to grow roots, and the leaf actually stayed like this. It looked just like this one in some water. It felt like it was just gonna like rot in there, but it didn't. It's been in there for months. I think at least 2 to 3 months. It's been sitting in some water, and it's finally growing some roots. I might actually throw that in there when I repot these ones. I'm not a big fan of propagating this one, just because it takes so long to grow roots that by the time you grow a new plant, it's been months, you know. But if you have the patience and you want to gift it to someone, maybe like as a gift that you're thinking far ahead, then you know it might be worth it. But I'm not a big fan of propagating this, plus I have all these plants, I don't really need to make another one. But I will propagate it if I accidentally crack something off. So it took a long time to grow the roots. Actually, let me go get it and you can see it. So this is my little propagation cup of stuff that's broken off, that I cut off, that I was trying to save, my poor syngoniums. But there is this one big Scindapsus pictus exotica leaf in here, and it feels really good right now. It feels like one of these ones here. And when I first put it in here, for the longest time, it just felt like it was gonna rot. Let me see if I can even get it out. Is this even worth it? I'm gonna throw that away. Oh my god, this cup desperately needs water. Dropped one on the floor. It's tangled with other stuff. Is this even worth it to show you? I don't know. Oh, it's like super tangled. Well, it's growing so many roots. Oh my goodness. Wow, look at that big old root. Cool. Look at that. That's a pretty good root. It took a very long time to grow this though. And you can see it has a little node that it was growing some roots out of. But like I said, it took a couple of months and it's just the one leaf. So if you have like a really big plant like one of these other ones and you cut up a bunch of different like leaves off, you know, throw it in some water, propagate it, you can definitely make another plant, but it will take a little while, so just be patient. The leaf also will feel so soft, but just hang in there, be patient, it will grow the roots. I just have it sitting in water. I haven't tried it any other way. That's just kind of my go-to method is some water. But yeah, look at that. That's actually really surprising. I wasn't expecting it to be that long. That's gonna be perfect to pot up in this one here. This plant is so easy. I know it looks crazy and it looks exotic and it's called exotica and it has a really crazy name, Scindapsus pictus exotica. And I know it sounds like it's going to be really hard, but it's not. It's definitely one of the easiest plants that I have. It's one that doesn't need a lot from you. Water it when it's bone dry. Don't overwater it. This is a plant that could easily get root rot if you're trying to stay on top of watering. Just let it get dry as a bone. Let it get a little curly just to err on the side of caution. And give it some light and it will flourish for you. And even though it's not the fastest grower, it's just gonna look freaking gorgeous. Like this looks like a piece of art just sitting on my table. So this is a plant I would highly encourage anybody to get that is worried about it. You're thinking it's gonna be too hard. Just try it out. It's gonna be a lot easier than you think. The only thing I would say, you don't need to pay an arm and a leg for one. Wait till one goes on sale, wait till you find one in person. I know it kind of depends on where you live and all that kind of stuff, but I have found two very good plants in person when I had already bought one for $80 online. So I'm gonna go pot all these together. I'm gonna pot up my little rooted one that is very unexpected. And I think that's it. If you guys have this plant and you have anything to add to this care, let me know. This is one of the easiest plants I have in my whole little collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. This plant is way easier than you might think, so give it a try. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I will see you later in another planty video. Goodbye.